Welcome in the ring. Let's fight, ladies and gentlemen. Let's fight. Happy Friday. Happy Friday to each and every one of you. And we have such a special program planned for you guys this evening. It's a little bit different from our normal program, but I will tell you this, you are going to love it by the time we get to the end, if not way before that. I have a very special young man that I'm going to be chatting with this evening. I'm going to tell you a little bit about that, but when we come on, we always ask you guys to share the live stream. This is a In the Ring special, an In the Ring University of Guyana graduation 2020 special. We'll be talking with one of the students there. He is my colleague, he's a friend, he's a brother, and I'm going to have him on shortly. And you guys are going to definitely be happy that we had him come and talk to us this evening about several things that has marked his incredible journey. But folks, you know how we do it here. We advise you to share the live stream. Those of you who are joining us on Twitter, those of you who are joining us on YouTube, Facebook, across our several pages. And I think we might even be streaming to the University of Guyana page this evening. We're going to wait until we reach our magic number, as we do every night. And then we're going to invite our guests and we're going to get the conversation started. It's a one-on-one this evening, folks. A little bit different from the usual program, but we like to mix it up here in the ring. So while you do that, we're going to share the live feed a couple places, and then we're going to come back and we're going to get the discussion started, folks. You know how we do it here. So share the live stream. You're on Twitter, give us a retweet. You on YouTube, subscribe to our channel on YouTube, guys. And I tell you this evening, you are not going to be disappointed. The least bit. Not the least bit. Let me share it a couple places, and then I am going to be right with you guys. I'm just ensuring that we are shared a couple places. All right, my hands aren't as steady as my eyes. Folks, welcome. Fantastic program lined up for you guys this evening. A fantastic program. I'm just making sure that we are every place that we need to be on social media, and then we're going to get started. All right, we're looking good. And of course, we're going to wait until we hit that magic number. I'm looking at it all the time. We're almost there. And then we're going to get right on the road. All right, I'm ensuring that we are everywhere we need to be. All right, let me see. All right, we're shared quite a few places. Quite a few places. Let me see. Making sure I'm everywhere I need to be. All right. All right, we're looking good thus far, and we are holding steady. We're going to hold for some of you guys to join us, and we're going to get right on the way. Folks, for all intents and purposes, this is an In the Ring special, and we are privileged to be joined by so many of you, whom here in Guyana and also in the diaspora. And we're going to have our guests with us very shortly. Those of you who are joining us on the University of Guyana Student Society page, we welcome you. It is not every night we get to stream on this page, but because we're looking at a special program surrounding the University of Guyana graduation, we are inviting you guys to join us as well. And we have a very interesting guest with us this evening, and we're going to have him on. And we're almost there, folks. So share that live stream for us, and we're going to get right to it. And while we are there, I think my guest is ready. I don't want to keep him waiting too long backstage. So let me welcome the one and the only Paul Clarke, my colleague, my former classmate, because he has gone ahead and left me. Gone ahead and left me, folks. I welcome the one and only Paul Clarke. Paul, how are you doing?
Hi, good evening, Sherrod. I'm fine.
All right. I am happy to hear. That. Folks, let me set it up for you. Why I am interviewing Paul. As I said, this is our UG 2021 graduation special. And among other things, Paul is a graduate from the university twice over. It could be thrice for all I know. But at least I know it is it is twice over. And Paul Clarke is somebody who I have come to admire tremendously. And I've always told him, I said, Paul, your story is so tremendous. It is inspiring. It inspires me every time I think about him, every time I think about where he is in his life. Paul went to St. John's High School, if memory serves me right. I'm going to
Yep.
give away his age a little bit. He celebrates his birthday on May 18th. He was born 1985. And this program talks about Paul's road to success against the odds. Paul, let's start the discussion this evening about growing up for you. And folks, I'm telling you, you're going to be inspired by Paul's story. Tell us a little bit about growing up. Let us start the discussion there.
Yeah, Sherrod, good evening again, and good evening to the guests, and thanks for having me. Um, Growing up, there's so much that happened growing up. But as I can recollect, as a kid, growing up in a single parent household where my father, he did what he was supposed to do, I guess, as it relates to procreation. But outside of that, he was quite absent. It's sad that he's not here today. I would have been happy to have him, perhaps to have him beside me in the ring so he can have some amount of admiration. With that said, coming up in a single parent household, mom alone, it wasn't easy. I would normally say to persons that she wasn't a security, she was a guard. There's a difference. With the security, then you have so much other benefits. With a guard, then you you know where I'm heading with that.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was a setback in itself. Going to primary school, if I can start there, which would be more significant. I remember whenever there was a a school party, sorry, or so. Oftentimes the teacher would say to them, to one another, you know what? Don't let's tell Paul to bring anything because you know he would not be there. But that would be in the social aspect of it. But as we go into the academic aspect of it, many days I didn't go to school because of the fact that mommy could not provide and the basic stuff. But Sherrod, within that process, what stuck with me through primary school is this one teacher. Her name is Mignon Charles. I remember she had lessons. This was primary four lessons. So this is just before common entrance, and it was at a cost. And so almost all the students, all of my colleagues, they were attending these lessons. And one day she said, Paul, why are you not in the lessons? I said, Miss Man, mommy cannot afford it. She said, okay, mommy cannot afford it. All right, the lessons is free for you, Paul. So I started, and like anything else, I stopped. So she was like, why is it that you're not in the lessons? The lessons is free. So I said, Miss, sometimes when I come to lessons, I would normally be hungry. She said, all right, hold up. So the lessons is free. And once you attend the lessons, there are going to be a meal provided for you. Sherrod, that right there, that
Yeah.
right there was an investment. It was an investment. And
Yeah.
I don't want to
That is
downplay.
what I thought immediately when I heard you say that.
Yeah, I don't want to downplay the teachers because my wife is a teacher and she's an excellent teacher, but I would want for some of the others to actually exemplify some of the traits of the teachers of EST, right? It's not all about the proceeds that can come out of the teaching. Sometimes the seed that is planted is one that, it can germinate into so much, right? So we
Yeah,
just can't look
because
at the
little did teacher Mignon Clarke know that she was making such an investment in you that the results that we're going to talk about later on have been reaped.
sure
You're
did,
quite right.
sure did,
Yep. Go ahead,
so
Paul.
yeah, so that happened, and I managed to secure 463 out of, I think that year would have been just over five something we went for, and I was actually awarded North Rumbelt Multilateral. But mommy was adamant that she didn't want me to go to multilateral because many of the other children from in the neighborhood, they attended there, and she said, perhaps I might have fallen prey to what was happening and so on. So she went and she got a transfer with the grades that was concomitant to St. John's College. So then I actually went over to St. John's, of which I did my secondary schooling. Quite equal to what happened in primary school actually happened in high school. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be my life journey, but
Yeah.
that's how it went. Um,
And then also, Paul, I see you make reference in this journey, especially the high school part of your success journey. There was a particular teacher who said some things to you who you didn't take too kindly to.
yes, as I grew older, I'm still at the place where I need to release this teacher, Sherrod,
Mhm.
really. But
Tell
what
us
he
what the
did.
teacher said to you.
So what happened leading up to that actual event was that he was giving lessons to students, and I found that some of the stuff that were being taught in the lesson was not being taught in class because they were following. And then, again, similar household, mommy again, same single parent, so I can't afford to go to his lessons either. But he wasn't as nice as Megan and Giles. But what he did after well, Cheryl, that I'm a real stickler for what I believe in. So I
Yes,
approached
you
him.
are.
I said, man, sir, this is not how it's supposed to be. And who told me to question the man? He was like, we had a little exchange, and he said, why don't you just go to the back of the class? Hence, I would have nicknamed myself the backbencher, right?
Yeah,
Because you would amount to nothing anyhow.
yeah.
So I said, wow,
And this is what he said to you. A teacher said to you, "You are not going to
yeah,
amount to anything
that's
at
what
high
I,
school."
and you know what is quite appalling about this particular teacher, that I'm not sure if he is now, but back then he was supposed to be a man of the cloth.
Oh
He
wow.
was, yeah, he was supposed to be a man of the cloth, so that happened, and it stuck with me. It stuck with me. We haven't had an excellent relationship going through high school. I tell you what happened, and I'm not sure how many other students perhaps might have fallen prey to this. I actually failed all of his. He was the head of department, and I think if I let this out, then some person will be able to put the pieces together to know who it is. I wouldn't give his name, but who knows? No. Now this is it. He was the head of department for business, and
Mhm.
Sherrod, I would have failed business SB, office procedure SB, and accounts SB. And I had these little notebooks that, as you finish a particular chapter, you would have gone back to the teacher and have him give and go ahead and so on. And 2 days before the examination, we had acting head teacher,
Mhm.
Miss Thompson at the time. And I said, Miss, I find it strange that I don't get my SBA grades. Why is it that I'm not getting my SBA grades? And she kept prying and prying and prying and prying. And then when the SBA grades came out, when he finally gave the grades, I went below in all three.
Wow.
This is what I said to my mother when I went home, because the examination was starting on Monday. The Friday when I went home, I said to her, I said, Mommy, I didn't pass the SBAs. However, if I don't pass CXC, I'm going to go and look for a work because things not looking good. But what happened in that examination, for all three of the business subjects, I managed to secure a grade three in accounts, grade three in business, grade three in office procedures. Had it been for the fact that I was given what I deserved at the time, perhaps the grades might have been even better, right? And
Yeah.
I said, you know what? This is a stepping stone. If I got this is what I got. He said that I wasn't successful. I wasn't in the position to even question because the process and the protocol would have been of too much because for the least, my mother never really attended, if any at all, any PTA meeting again because of her job. She can't get time off and so on. So what I did during high school, I would stay back in school to actually attend the PTA meeting. So I would relate to her what happened in the PTA.
Wow.
Well, okay, mommy, they discussed this
How
today.
many
They
students
discussed
are
that.
like that? Students are saying back to play gum in the yard or something like that.
You know, the process, even though we had these encounters coming up from primary up to secondary, sure, there was always something that stuck with me that, you know what, I am going to make it and I am going to be a better person than my father was. So all the while, even though I was young, this is something that stuck with me.
Yeah.
So in addition to the fact that I wrote the CXCs and I managed to secure, I think, 5 out of the 6 that I did, um, during that period as well, it wasn't that easy because this is what I did. I'm not endorsing the fact that we need to have child labor happening, but I used to actually go and work. I did odds jobs. Um, I remember two encounters. I remember school was out, and I went looking around in the community, and they had this guy who had a load of sand. It was on the parapet, and I went and I approached him and I said, "Is this sand to go inside?" And he said, "Yes." I said, "I can take it in." Being totally not oblivious to the fact that the labor that, that it would entail and the
Yeah,
cost that is
yeah,
attached the same. So
yeah.
what I did, I actually bargained for
Way
way
below
way
market
below.
prices.
However,
Yeah,
but there was a need. I
yeah.
needed to get something to eat and I needed to get some money. So I took the job. So this is what I did. I'm not happy with what I did, but this is what I did. So I started the job. I collected the wheelbarrow and I started to push in the sand and so on. I don't think I reached quarter of what it was. So I went to the guy and I said, okay, I will need to have an advance. I said, I said I need to have an advance. So I can't remember how much is it that he gave to me, but what I know for sure is that I went, I got something to eat and share it. I never went back. I never went back to finish
The
the rest of
struggle was
work.
real. The
The
struggle
struggle
was
was
real, Paul.
real.
Paul, and that takes us into your working life. Tell us where you started when you started working formally.
Sure. So what happened in the process? I managed to do work study at the Guyana Public Service Cooperative Credit Union Limited. So at the tender age, just out of
This is in
school at
Hatfield Street,
17, yes, in
Georgetown.
Hatfield Street, I did work study there. And whilst on work study, I had spoken to a secretary manager. He would have passed Edward Johnson, and I would have approached him. This would have been somewhere within the first 2 to 3 weeks of my stint as a work study student. I was just thinking that, you know what, something needs to be done. So I approached him, and I've given him a synopsis of what transpired in my younger days and so on. I actually indicated to him that, sir, I would like to have a job.
Mhm.
He said, a job. He looked at the grades, that was one, and then he looked at the fact that there weren't any position per se. And he said, you know what? I can give you a job as an office assistant. I said, sure. Office assistant, I can take the job, office assistant. So I was
You
paid in my head.
started your formal work life
As
after you
as
didn't go back to the sun fetching early on as an office assistant at the credit union.
Yes, yes. I was actually the guy on the bicycle taking out the mails. Um, it wasn't for the lack of education, but it was for the fact that I needed a job. I needed to assist my mom. I needed to provide, right? So I took that job. I took that job. But coming with that job was some real heartache in the sense that
Tell us a little bit
after
about that.
after I realized that, you know what, I'm basically at the bottom of the food chain. And I would have been seeing some of my fellow colleagues coming out from high school who would have started the university, and some persons who perhaps would have became members of the credit union and so on. So some sense of false pride, I would want to say, came in. And, you know, I at one time I said, you know what, I don't think this job might be the right job for me. This would have been the fact that I had added pressure from superiors, you know, who at the time believed that, you know what, if this is your position, then this is what you have to do. Sometimes some persons, you went to one place and they send you back to the same place again, once, twice, thrice to the same place,
Mhm.
when perhaps you could have stuff done collectively. But the fact that,
Have they been thinking efficiently? Yeah.
yeah, you know, that would have been addressed. But during that time as an office assistant, I didn't sit there, or I didn't sat. I just decided, you know what, this is not, this is the beginning, but it must not be the end. So I started at the Government Technical Institute. Actually, I enrolled to do the certificate in commerce. Based on the performance, we were actually allowed to write the diploma in commerce.
Yeah.
I wrote that examination, but I was unsuccessful at the commercial law. So then I took the results into the organization, and they were actually reviewing it, and I was promoted from office assistant to clerk one, whereas I now began to do a little bit of secretarial work in the sense that you're doing normal vouchers, writing, and so on, and
So,
within the
Paul,
process.
that was your start at the credit union. Are you still working there?
Sure, yes. So on the 4th of September this year, I will be celebrating my 19th anniversary. 19 years
At the
at the
credit
credit
union
union.
there.
19
And
years.
what is your substantive post you hold currently?
So I'm assistant manager in customer service and credit with responsibility for public relations as well.
Wow. So from the office assistant, you have gone to an assistant manager at the
Yeah,
credit union.
at the credit union.
That is incredible, Paul. And for a student who a teacher told would never amount to anything, that is incredible. And you did talk about going on to GTI and doing the certificate in commerce and so forth. But you moved on from there and you did some higher education studies as well. Tell us a bit about that.
Good. So of the subjects that I wrote, Sharon, at the CSEC level, I was not successful in math and English. I think I actually got a 4 in English and a 5 in math. So I actually went to the university and I filled the application. Back then we had the manual application, and I was unsuccessful. I remember Mr. Andrew Hicks was the person that I would have spoken to at the time, and he said, "You know what? Here, what you're going to do? You're going to rewrite maths and English, and then you're going to reapply to the University of Guyana." I said, "Wow." I said, "All right, I'll take that advice." So this is what I did. I went and I actually wrote back the subjects. In mathematics, I managed to secure a distinction, and English, I got a 1. And then I started my university life. Now,
Excellent.
for
Excellent.
some persons, when I started the university, I actually didn't want to do communication. I signed up for banking and finance because credit union is parallel to the banking sector. So if I was clerk one, I was eyeing something as being a teller or something, or moving up within that area. So before I actually started the university, Sherrod, I just remember that I actually started to do my CAT. But this is what happened. This is what happened when I started to do CAT. So I was working and studying, but for the most, I was working and not studying. So we had a few examination, I remember, and there was such an hassle to actually get the funds to pay, because we had to get buy the bank drafts and so on and send it up to England, and all the other stuff. I remember when I went into the examination and I started, and then the time ran out, and then the screen just went blank, and it came back with the grades, and I cried. I said, "Oh my God." I said, "It took me all this time to get this money, and now I can't complete this program." And
Mhm.
that had me at a standstill for some time. And then I decided, you know what? I'm going to do something that I don't have to pay immediately. And then I started at the university. So I signed up to do the banking and financing, the diploma. But at the time, the process is one that I wasn't too fair with. So I filled the application and I was awaiting a response. I went to the examination department or division, and I told them that this was the case. At the time, they didn't give much of a listening ear, because they would have been able to identify the fact that what the approval that I was waiting for would only come after a certain stage in the process. So I was there, and the assistant registrar there at that time, Sherrod, was Kashka Sintelair. I would never forget that young lady. I would never forget her. So she heard
Fantastic.
me out.
Yeah.
Yeah, she heard me outside, and she came out of her office and she went and she asked the her secretary, "What is it with the young man?" So I said to her, I said, "I came several times, and now upon my return, I'm being told that the program is filled." I said, "How is that so? I came, look at the date that I applied." She said, here, what are you going to do? She said, you're going to start the university in one area, and then you can do a transfer. You can skip over to another program after you would have gotten entrance. So she said, you need to write a letter. I said, I'll do that tomorrow. Sherrod, I kid you not. I said, I'll do it tomorrow. She said, you know what? That is the problem with the youths of today. This was her words. That is the problem with the youths of today. You need to write the letter now.
Procrastination. Yeah.
Yes. I
Yeah.
said, okay, miss, I'll write the letter now. She said, do you have anything to write? I said, no. She said, hey, what? This is what you're going to do. This is the writing pad. This is the pen. I said, who should I write the letter to? She said, you know what? You need to write the letter to me. I'm the assistant registrar. I was like, okay, then. So I did that.
Halfway in the door.
Yeah, I did
Halfway.
that. I did that, and I was accepted. But you know what, Sherrod? You know what she did? You know what she did? It would have been so lovely if she would have been onto this program tonight. So I started, and within the program, she called me. She actually took my number from my profile, and she called me, and she said, Mr. Clarke, do you still want to have a transfer? And I said to her, no, miss. She said, that is what I was thinking, because I was looking at your grades, and it seems as though that you're coping quite fine. So
you
I
kept
would have
going.
I would have completed the diploma in communication. And at that juncture, I could have changed to something else. And I said, you know what? I am going to pursue the bachelor's in the communications. And that's what I did. I did the bachelor's in communication.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did
And
the
to
bachelor's
believe
in
there was a teacher
communication.
who said to you, you would amount to nothing. So you've gone from office assistant to assistant manager in the credit department, I think it was. You have started university, you've done a diploma in communication, you've gone on to do a degree in communication as well. I'm noting also the significant input by teachers like Mignon Charles, as you
And
as you have said. And you didn't stop there at just doing the bachelor's degree in communication, where I met you. We
yes,
were
yes, yes.
connected.
At undergrad, yes.
But you also went on from there, Paul.
Yes. So I would have gotten the promotion to the assistant manager of customer service and credit. And with that position, after I would have gotten that appointment, something struck me. And it was, that is not enough, Paul. A bachelor's is not enough. You need to do more. So I went and I was checking on universities and so on. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do my master's. I shopped around, and my final decision was the University of Guyana to pursue the Commonwealth Masters in Business Administration. I applied, and I was successful in the entrance. However, there was a cost attached to the entrance.
Like with everything in life, there's a cost.
Yes, there is a cost. So what I did, Sherrod, I said at this stage of my life, I need to actually invest in me now. I mean, there was always the drive, but listen, I need to invest in me. So I spoken to my wife and I said, you know what? We have two vehicles. I'm going to sell one. I'm going to sell one, and I'm going to start this program. I sold the vehicle, and some of the funds I went to the bank to get some additional funds to add with that, and I started the program. But going through my drawer at the office, I found something. I found a letter that I wrote in 2004 to the committee of management of my place of employment, but it never reached to the committee of management because I went to the manager at the time and I would have indicated to him that I was looking to have some amount of sponsorship. And that was to do that same CAT, Sherrod, that I didn't get a chance to complete.
Yeah.
And he said to me, not to worry with that thing. They wouldn't approve that. Not to worry with that thing. At that time, I could not have seen why he would have said something like that. They
It's not
wouldn't.
like the
He
teacher
didn't.
from
Yeah, he didn't even allow them to say, well, they wouldn't.
Mhm.
But I would have placed the dots together, and I realized at that time, I mean, you come as an assistant going to do CAT, nobody organizes with CAT, then this ain't happening. Perhaps a spoke need to
But
be
you
placed
put
in your
Paul,
wheel.
that's the problem with you.
Yeah, you stepping out your league.
Yeah.
Anyhow, anyhow, I decided, you know what, I'm going to face my fears for the second time. So I wrote a letter to the present committee of the organization, and I dictated clearly what was my position. I said, this is what I did. I sold a car. I believe that I need to invest in my education. And I'm looking for some amount of sponsorship, if it's partial, complete, or else. And you know what happened, Sharon? The
Tell me.
organization, they would have undergone the entire um, university masters, and they would have actually given back the money that I would have paid to actually start that program. So the credit union would have actually sponsored the master's program for me.
Yeah. And you recently completed that master's program, as I was just showing off.
Yes, I did. I did actually. I did actually. Yes. So
So,
this would
so
have.
Paul,
Go
this is
ahead.
this is why your story is so incredible to me personally, because with all that you've gone through, single parent, the hardship of having a mother working, and so not being there for you many times, the kind of a father that you have had, you yourself now as a father to young uh, Trishelle. I hope I'm calling the name right, Trishelle,
Yes, Trishelle.
and
Yes.
you have a beautiful wife, Tracy.
Yep.
And to see those challenges surmounted every step of the way, from primary school to high school to your early work life, starting as an office assistant, to a manager now, to going on to UG to do your diploma in communication, BSc in communication, and now an MBA, business administration, masters. I mean, that is nothing short of incredible. And it says to me, as you know, perhaps more than I do, that a man's life is never determined by its beginning. And so the question for you is, what inspires you, Paul, to keep going?
So, Sherrod, I said this to my wife and even to my daughter. Actually, my daughter's celebrating her birthday today. She's 9 years old today.
Happy birthday to her.
Yes, yes, she's 9 years. So it's quite remarkable that I'm having this interview tonight as well. Um, the fact that so much had happened in my early years as a child, and to grow up, the position that I was in as a kid, it left a scar, and it's always in me to actually try to erase that scar, and it can only be done through education and pushing and having that drive. And that would have been the motivational factor throughout this entire process, because so many persons fall prey, Sherrod, to situations. And I could have used the fact that my mother, she doing yard work, nobody there to look over me. Then why go to school?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sherrod,
Why
let
go
me
to
just
a
see.
PTA meeting if your mother can't make it?
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
Just look at this. I remember this. Just recollect something.
Tell us, Paul.
So my father, I remember I went over to him one day, and I'd asked him for money to go to school, and he actually given me $20, which would have been the one-way passage to school. And he was in a position to give more. That was in my opinion, but I guess he didn't see the importance of education. And I said this to my mother, Jennifer Rosanna Clarke. I said this to her. I said, Mommy, this we were living in North Longveld. I said, Mommy, here what you're going to do for me. I'm not going to go back there anymore. I said, you wake me up early in the morning, and I'm going to actually walk and go to school.
Wow.
That didn't happen for too long. I didn't
Wow.
have to walk to school for too long because of something that I did. So quite quickly, Sherrod, in high school, we had some of my colleagues. If they're tuned into this program, they're going to laugh because I guess they never knew this. So when you purchase a drink from the canteen with these glass bottles, whenever you return it, you were given $20 per bottle. So when everybody gone home and left their bottle all over the place, it was my duty and my job to walk around, collect all those bottles, and take it back to the canteen.
Mhm.
I did that for almost going through high school until I started to sell in town. I used to, when it was school was out, I used to sell batteries so I could have gotten money to buy school clothes and so on and so on. So I just had to put that in there.
Yeah. Wow. That is pretty amazing, Paul. That is pretty amazing. I mean, the more we talk, it's the more interesting and for me personally inspiring this story is. And I know, and I wanted to talk to you in particular because there are so many young people out there that are being challenged by life and who might have the tendency or want to give up. But your story says to us that there is light at the end of the tunnel if we keep pressing forward, if we keep pushing ahead, then we can make something of ourselves.
Yeah, sure, Sharon. And that is what I had a post on Facebook, and I said that, you know what, we're not all robbers and thieves. You know what? We can amount to something. We can amount to something. And what was important in that post as well, Sharon, is not the fact that I would have received commendations about academic accolades. No, it's reach one, save one.
Yeah,
Reach one, save one.
yeah,
Reach one, save one.
yeah,
That's what it's about.
yeah,
That is what is important. We have all these businessmen and women out there who are boasting about this is what they have and so on. Look at someone. You understand? Provide
yeah,
some school supplies, uniform, and these kinds of stuff. I repeated in Farm 3C because for one term I couldn't go to school. No school clothes, no school shoes.
yeah.
Reach one, save one. Reach one, save one. That's what it's about. That's what is important about the process, Sharon.
Paul, you've always had this innate drive from what you have said to us. You talk about your early work life in fetching this sand for this guy and not returning. Um, you've talked also about some of what you did at high school just to go back to school the following day, whether it was picking up empty bottles and taking to the canteen,
Yeah.
doing all kinds of odds and ends job because you were interested in education and receiving a sound education and a sound schooling as well. There seems to be in all of that this entrepreneurial spirit in there. And so you didn't only go to university and you've gotten these degrees and masters and so forth, but you've also ventured out in business. So tell us a little bit about that, Paul.
Good. So at
You are the
the
energizer bunny, aren't you? Go
yes,
ahead.
at the undergrad level, as part of the communication program, you are aware, Sharon, that we had to do a project. And my project at the time was barbecue sauce. Why did I do barbecue sauce? So within my early work years as well, what I did, I used to go around to persons who had barbecue, and I would normally do the barbecue for them, and I would make the sauce from scratch. So when I saw the opportunity at the university level, I decided to grab at it. So I started to do barbecue sauce. Um, Coming out of that, I had four sauces. I had honey, jerk, tamarind, and classic. So this was Magic's barbecue sauce.
Hmm.
That thing took off, Sharon. I was doing it from my home as a little talk shop setup, and then the
Hmm.
demand started, and I was like, oh my god, this is crazy. I because some person, I even had an ad that was done in Andrew's supermarket. My good friends, Zena Edwards and Mario Glasgow as well, we would have done an ad,
You're
and
good
Sharon,
crazy friends.
yes, when we did that ad and that ad went out there, um, people wanted to know perhaps if I'm competing with Swiss, but with zero capital and so on, things had to scale back. Things scaled back with Magic's barbecue sauce. So I wasn't bottling or anything, but I was making and selling to persons on a smaller scale.
Mhm.
And I went to Barticle. I was hired to do a barbecue for the mayor and town council. They had something there. And I did a barbecue for the guys there and the
So
mayor.
you've gone national now with this barbecue sauce.
Yes. So I think it's Mr. Marshall.
Gifford,
The
yes.
yes. And he said something to me while I was there. Um, he said, you know what? We're going to send for you for regatta. So while I was coming home from Bartik in the speedboat, I was resting my eyes, but not resting my brains. I
Mhm.
said, they were going to send for me to Bartica. Why do I need them to send for me to go to Bartica? I could go to Bartica. So when I reached down to town, I said, I'm going to make a caravan. So I went, I visited the guy who would normally fabricate the caravan, and we got that started. And I had it branded and so on. And I had a launch at the Mashramani. I think this would have been in 2020, 2020
So
at the
this is now, if I'm not wrong, this is Magic's Barbecue and Grill,
correct.
of which the
Yes.
tag is "Come taste the magic."
Yes, yes. This is Magic's Barbecue and Grill. So I had the caravan operating out at Coffee for the most. I had some said yes, yes, correct. Yes, you would have done your homework.
Go ahead, Paul.
Yes. Yes. So this is what it was. Was out at Durban Park for the launching. So I had Magic's Barbecue and Grill. So I was operating from there. I would have approached the mayor and city council in Georgetown because I believe to have operations above board and one whatever's due to the state must be paid to the state.
Correct.
So I would have
You're
approached
a good
them
business.
yes, by means of a letter and I was informed that they were actually formulating a policy. There weren't any formal policy that governs caravans. So hence I was not able to actually pay anything over to the council. So I was just operating basically on the ends of whatever was happening. So I continued there. And while I was out at coffee, I was actually pursuing my master's as well. It must be noted that I was at the university while I was doing this and at the credit union. So this was a job that was being done in the evening.
And if I remember, because Paul and I met up again doing the master's program. Paul finished, and I am a wayward student. I remember you had a tremendous workload. Those weren't easy courses in that master's program at all.
Yes, I remember one night, Sharon, we had an examination the next day. So I went into my truck and I sat there with the handouts and I said to the staff on the caravan, I said, hey, what? I'm going to do some reading. Sharon, the only thing I remember is when they were hitting on the glass to tell me they're ready to go. I went fast
Mhm.
to sleep
Yeah, yeah,
because I was I was actually extremely tired. So I was telling you about the process.
yes.
So
Tell us.
then what happened out at coffee was that COVID came and the operations were scaled down for the most. And then at one time, the task force had indicated that those kind of activities were not accepted. So I had to actually close off the operation. So the caravan was left there for a period and it was vandalized.
No boy.
So the guys broke into it and they would have taken
One
out
more
some of the
setback.
stuff. Yeah, they took out some of the stuff and so on. But as you know it, Clarke is not going to stay there. I was determined that I wasn't going to stay there. So I said that, you know what? I'm going to look for a place. I'm going to look for a place. So that was the pursuit. I started to look around town looking for an ideal spot so that I can actually expand Magic's Barbecue and Grill. This would have been after I would have expended on the caravan and the other stuff, furnishing and so on, somewhere about 1 point something million to two. And that just actually went down there within a short space of time because if I started in January into February, and then March,
Yeah, COVID
April,
hit.
that
Yeah,
was the investment
signs
just
of
went
COVID. Yeah.
down. Yeah. I had at that time, it was myself and two other persons were working with me. So I actually created some amount of employment at that time. So I was adamant that, you know what, Magic's Barbecue and Grill needs to be reignited. And I managed to do so. So I would have actually invested twice within 1 year. So I actually went into an agreement with a guy. And now Magic's is at 288, 289 Middle and Thomas Streets. This is just opposite
Excellent.
the chest clinic, formerly the Majestics building, for the persons who are aware of the Majestics. So we're
We work
there.
used to shop there, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is close to Zoom. I think
Yes,
the
yes.
online business. Yeah.
The online store as well. So I would have launched there in November of last year. We would have launched the Magic's Barbecue
Excellent.
and Grill. Yes, and I'm still there, and we're trying to cope with the effects of COVID. It's still real. The task force, they're quite forceful in their operations, of which they would have dictated the time of work and so on, and the amount of persons as well, which hampers persons within the private and public sector, both tremendously.
So,
But
so
for
you're
small,
still opening Monday to Saturday, 9 to 6?
yeah. So on weekends now we go a little later, given the fact that we would have, I think it's curfew is 10:30, so we close off at just
Yes, the
about
curfew is
after
later in
nine.
the evening now.
Yeah,
Yeah, correct.
so just about after 9 we close up. Actually, after we wrap up this program, I had to come home. Still dressed in credit union outfit, to actually go back and to ensure that I
Businesses.
wrap up with the staff there, and
Great head, Paul.
close up for this evening. So I was saying that we're still there, we're operating. For persons who are inspired or would have been inspired by the
Day
story,
96.
um,
Great head, Paul.
I would ask for you guys to come down and have a taste. Don't take my word for it. And
Yes.
I
The
let the
tax
I
says,
let the
come
cat
taste
out
the
the bag.
magic.
I let the cat out of the bag. I haven't had meat in 17 years. So you're actually eating meat from someone who doesn't eat meat. And yes, yes, I would have received quite a lot of praises for the fact that for someone who don't, then what happens? But the secret is this: once the seasoning has the taste, then nothing else matters.
So this is Magic's Barbecue and Grill. It's the location where Majestic used to be, which is close by to Zone online shopping establishment there in Middle Street. And they open Monday to Friday. I'm giving you a plug for 9 to 6. There are meal specials, drink specials available as well. And you can order on, I hope the number is still the same, 685
It's 6, yes.
6859486. Folks, I think this is not one of the usual in the rings that we have, but it is worth the share. For young people who are looking for some inspiration, I commend Paul to you. Paul, somebody on Facebook says there was a Malika Smith I saw made a comment. Malika says that I haven't known Paul for long, but I met him at the barbecue establishment. Uh, she went on to say that the grill guy didn't come the hour she was there, and you stepped in and you started to barbecue. And she says, I
Oh,
remember saying, wow, you don't see this anymore. This guy is going places. She said, I sat at many hangouts and listened to many of your stories. She has seen your drive, whether it's your family or your business or your work. And she says that she's very, very proud of all that you have accomplished, especially with this recent graduation. She says, congratulations.
so here what happened, Sharon. So Malika, her husband, they actually had a barbecue, and I would have purchased tickets from them. So I went to support their barbecue. I didn't start magics or anything of the sort. And
Mhm.
on that day, the guy who was supposed to do the grilling for them did not turn
Oh,
up
at their barbecue. Oh, great.
at their barbecue. He did not
Uh,
turn up. So
uh,
what I did, I had actually volunteered my services. I remember on that day, my daughter had music classes, so my wife was calling me, and I said, "Babes, here, what I would not be able to come." She said, "Why?" I said, "Because I'm assisting a guy with a barbecue." But what happened that day, Sherrod, is that I understood the fact that persons were going to turn up and they were going to be annoyed if they hadn't had their services. So hence I would have volunteered. And she remembered that. She remembered that.
it's an interesting story. It's a very, very interesting story. And now there is Magic's Barbecue and Grill. And Paul, you are going places. Paul, you have said that there are several people who would have inspired you, whether it was your mom, Jennifer Clarke, Mignon Charles, all the teachers you've had over the years at primary, secondary, university. Any folks you want to give a shout out to this evening?
Sure. Sherrod, my wife. I've said to her that I'm training my daughter now. She's only 9. That she ain't be buying no dreams. But my wife said, "But you make I buy you dream though." um, she she was there from creation, Sherrod. At one time, she would have actually and what made me just look a little deeper is when she would have assisted me as boyfriend and girlfriend to pay for one of the courses in my CAT as well. So I said, if she can invest in my education,
You got married this
then I
woman.
don't see why I should invest in a lifetime with her. So Tracy Clarke Walters, well, she was Walters. That's her maiden name, Tracy Clarke. Um, that basically is the wind beneath my wings. If I
That was a
said
big
Tracy,
move, Tracy. That was a big move. That was a
yeah,
big move.
yeah. If I say to her, I said, Tracy, I'm going to buy a helicopter. She said, sure, right. I'm with you. She don't ask me where is the heliport. She say, well, if you buying a helicopter, then I'm buying a helicopter with you too.
Mhm.
And we did so much in our younger years. We bought vehicles as boyfriend and girlfriend and so on. So I realized that what, this is someone who wants to build,
There's a
who wants
keeper.
to build. And today, yeah, on the 27th, we're going to be celebrating, I think it's 12 years. I think I'm getting young, so I don't remember. But on the 27th of this month is our anniversary. I don't remember the years. It's over a decade, but I know the
Yeah.
date because the date is very important to women.
Yeah. Paul, congratulations to you guys. Paul, you've had such a an inspiring path to success. And again, there's so many people watching, young people out there that are viewing, who are in their own challenges with life. What is your own advice to them? Even parents who might be watching, who are struggling and need some encouragement. What is your advice generally to folks?
Sure. Sherrod, we all have unique experiences, right? And I think what we need to do when that time comes, whenever we're confronted with same, is to look at the bigger picture. You know, try to see outside. Look at the cup as half filled, as opposed to being half empty. Use your situation or your circumstances to the positive. I don't have a shoes, but I have a slippers. I don't have 2 shirts, but I have 1 jersey, right? I don't have 3 square meals, but I had breakfast. Look at those things in the positive, and you apply them, and you'll be surprised to see what happens. And don't by any means be a product of the environment, especially if it's one that is not of the affirmative. Try to see how best you can change or shift the narrative. I grew up in North Rongveld, and I'm living in Eccles. I would have constructed with my wife. I got married at 24, and I think we would have constructed our home at 25. We're living in Eccles for quite a few years. I think it's almost a decade, somewhere thereabout. Um, use the circumstances to the positive. Use the circumstances to the positive. I was living on the streets for a short stint, Sherrod, and I didn't allow that to by any means stop me. What I did is that I said, you know what, I'm going to own my home and at an early age. And I did that. Again, use the circumstances or the situations to the positive. Some persons would say it's easy said than done, but I can recollect this that I would have read, Sherrod, that there was one great philosopher that said, the journey of 1 mile begins with 1 step. Don't look at
Excellent.
the fact that you want to reach the tape. Look at the fact that you want to start the race. And once you start the race, you might limp some, you might drag some, but in the end, you are going to reach that place. But that's only if you want to go on that journey.
Yeah. Paul, my final question for you this evening. We are both products of the University of Guyana. You are a better product than I am, but nonetheless. And we often hear, people try to put down UG. But I want to make a plug for UG this evening. Why would you say to a young person or any person, UG is the place for you? I mean,
Oh,
you've
sure.
done your diploma, you've done your degree, you've done your master's there. It must be something that keeps you going back.
Yeah, Sherrod. The institution is it's an exceptional institution, and this is testimony to the fact that we have persons, exchange students as well, who leave their countries to come to Guyana because of our education. The cost is cheap, but you know what? But the quality of education disseminated is high. It's very high, and that is something that we need to actually hold up a little bit more as persons or as citizens of Guyana. You know, the University of Guyana, I would have been there. This is the third time I did diploma degree, and now I would have completed my master's. Take it from me, it's the institution to be at. It's the institution to be at, and I say this without any apologies. It is second to none. It is.
Excellent. Excellent, Paul. Paul, I really want to thank you this evening for sharing your story with us. I'm certain there must somebody out there and like me who has been inspired. I've been looking at some of the comments on social media, and I wasn't wrong at all. Paul, continue to inspire others, as you have been, and we all wish Magic's Barbecue and Grill down there on Middle Street all the success in the world. Congratulations again to you and your wife. The anniversary you guys have coming up. We hope that it's a very, very special one. And continue pressing forward as well. Any closing thoughts?
Sure. I said to my wife that I think that I'm going to close the book on academics, but then there's something in me saying that I need to go again. So look out for that. But in addition to that, Sherrod, in addition to that, I don't have much spare time because of the fact that I am into the business and I have my work that I would normally carry out. But I'm going to pen a book. I'm going to pen a book,
I
and
support that, Paul,
and
100%. I
it's
want you to
and
copy.
it's
Thank you.
going to be it is going to be the backbencher. Look out for it.
All right. Some challenges there. Let's hold for Paul. So, welcome back, guys. Again, apologies for that break there. I don't know. We're having some IT challenges at our end, but I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me this evening, especially my guest, Paul Clarke, who recently graduated from the University of Ghana. This has been our special. And I have had over the years the privilege of talking to so many of our graduates, whether they were valedictorian or students who would have passed and would have been graduating and graduated. And Paul's story, I think, stands out, and not only as a classmate when we did communications together and then the master's program, but Paul's story is a very, very powerful one. That it doesn't matter where you begin life, that once you have that drive, that the sky really and truly is the limits. And again, congratulations to Paul and all of the other students who would have graduated this year. Congratulations to the 2021 class, and we wish you guys every success in the future. And thanks for joining us wherever you picked us up from this evening. Thank you so much. And as we end every night, we say continue to social distance, wear your mask, sanitize, watch those groups that you're living in. It shouldn't be groups larger than 10, and even so, it should be while exercising social distancing. So, folks, thanks again for joining us, and do stay safe. See you on Monday, folks. You know, we're off on the weekends.